All right, so now we're on to part number 5, and that's going to be wastegate placement. All right, as you can see, everything's starting to come back together here. Got our V-band down there welded in. So that's all welded in. Everything else is tacked. Now the turbo is in its location. It's tacked in as well. Well, the piping to it anyways. And I've got the 3-inch piping on the way for the downpipe. But now we have to figure out the one major crucial part, and that's wastegate placement. And on this is where the two merge here. So I want to actually have it right around in that merge area, but I'll probably put it on the outside toward this way because I want to actually keep the head of the wastegate as cool as possible, so that way you don't have internal part failure. So now I have this all together, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the best placement for it and where I want it to fit, and also have the correct angles, so that way I can actually vent the exhaust from both banks. This is not meant to be beautiful or pretty or anything like that. Now once everything's welded up and final welded, and I can grind the welds down, make sure everything's sealed and everything does well, then we'll paint it up and it will look a lot better. And I know I'm going to have critics out there. I'm going to. It's just the nature of the beast. It's not some kit I bought. It's this and that. It's literally a budget shade tree. Let's have some fun with this build. Okay, so you can kind of see in there, in the area where they both merge right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the wastegate right in here, so that way everything vents and can exit the flow path in the bend right there. So this is where it's going to be, and then the actual exit of the wastegate is going to fire towards the ground. So it's going to fit pretty much similar to this, but with more of an angle up, obviously. So I'm gonna have to play with my angle as far as to make sure I can have a direct flow of exhaust out of the wastegate, so that way it'll regulate boost better for me. Now the wastegate, if you're wondering, it's actually a 44 millimeter. It's an eBay special, but I did take it apart, cleaned everything up, made sure everything was good, sound, and intact. And if there was any other parts I needed to replace in there. Now I did go with an actual tile MVR wastegate spring for it, so that way I knew that was name brand. I wanted to make sure that I can regulate the boost that way. But I went low on it. I only went with like a 3 or 4 pound spring, so that way I can regulate the boost really low and then work my way up as I tune it. Now once I have my final placement where I feel comfortable that it needs to be, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and outline that, and then I'll start trimming and cutting to make sure that I can get that piece to fit perfectly in there, and especially with that radius in there, so that way nothing protrudes into the flow path of the exhaust, but also I want to make sure that there's no obstruction coming out for the wastegate. So you're going to have to play with that and tweak with that a little bit with your, your grinder, or however you're doing it. You might have a tubing notcher or whatever. I don't, but you just have to play with that a little bit, and then once you get that fitment right, then you'll tack it in. You may even go ahead and burn it in, and then go ahead and mount your wastegate and see how that fits for you. But you also have to make sure you're clear of brake lines. Brake lines hate heat. Also clear of the radiator. I actually went back with a stock radiator because the 3-quart aluminum one I had was too thick. I couldn't even fit hardly anything in there. So later down the road, I might have to deal with heat soak of that. I don't know yet, but that's something I'll have to deal with when I get there. But that's where I'm at as far as wastegate placement goes. Once I get it placed and tacked in, I'll come out with part number 6, and that's gonna be final welding everything, and we're gonna get started on the cold side. And once again, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, because we got plenty more.